National Video Games Day, everybody! Another national day here in America, and it's time to give you a story. What is going on, everybody? This is HDX here, and I just want to say to everybody here and to all my subscribers, Happy National Video Game Day, everybody! Yes, indeed, one of the new national holidays that I wish it's going to be an official holiday in America. Hell, it's supposed to be an official holiday for all over the world. Because why not? It's freaking awesome. Just like National Donut Day, just like National Rib Day, National Cosplay Day, National Comic Book Day, National Awesome Movie Day, National Superhero Day, National any cool day that everybody can all enjoy. Let's not forget National Beer Day, National Meme Day, National Any Day. I mean, anything could be nowadays, any day could be a national day when you kind of think about it. Now, that being said here, as you can see here, I'm playing here Streets of Rage 2. Actually, I just found some old game footage here in my Bandicam file here, and I wanted to make like a story time or want to give you a stroll down memory lane here on some of the great times that I had here as a video games when I started playing as a child. Yeah, well, you gotta put it that way. This is more like a story time video, you know, like a national video game story time video here. Yeah, kind of like one of those story time videos that you see here on YouTube here without the lousy, mundane, and the most cringy kind of stuff here. No, this is gonna be straight up with some game footage that you're about to see on screen while I'm talking here. So, with that being said, let me give you the story right here, right now. Now, the age that I started playing video games is the age of 5, when I was in kindergarten here. And it was actually on my 5th birthday, you know, like March 10th, 1992 here. And one of my folks here, one of my parents actually bought me a Game Boy. To be specific, the model of that Game Boy was actually a Game Boy Pocket. And the size of that Game Boy Pocket was, it was about as that smaller than the original Game Boy, which was that huge, even for my hands at the time here. And it was actually a color red. It was a really cool Game Boy, and it came with Super Mario. And they also bought me Tetris here, and I remembered that one of the very first video games as a child that I first started playing, believe it or not, was the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and it actually came with Super Mario World, Zelda, The Link to the Past here, Yoshi's Story. They even had F-Zero here. I was in love with F-Zero when I first started playing that game here. That was actually about like a year later. But way before that, my mom and my dad owned an NES here, and they had like a ton of games here. And they bought that back like in 1990 here, that it came with a big bundle that they found at a flea market at the time. Yeah, kind of crazy when you think about it. They had like 2 controllers, they had the Zapper, they actually had the Konami Laser Scope, believe it or not. And then a couple of months later, they got me the Super Nintendo Entertainment System that one of my childhood friends, Miguel, they actually have that. And I enjoyed the freaking hell out of the games that I played here. Mario, Donkey Kong Country, F-Zero, Zelda, A Link to the Past, Pilot Wings, Street Fighter 2. I was obsessed with Street Fighter 2. It's one of the very first fighting games that I played with my childhood friend Miguel, and he just keep beating the crap out of me time and time again. I also remember Killer Instinct there. My dad got that for me for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and I was just blown away by the graphics. Like, that Rare made, it was just absolutely incredible. Like, 3D graphics for the 16-bit console. Like, wow, it just blew my mind. And I also remember that I had a cousin named Francisco, and he showed me this awesome video game console called the Sega Genesis. I was just amazed. I was playing Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, and 3, Streets of Rage. I freaking love Streets of Rage. I remember that he had the Spider-Man video game for the Sega Genesis. Yeah, of course, we remember because Spider-Man just came out for the PS4. I remember he had Golden Axe. I remember he had Super Monaco GP. That was freaking awesome. Hell, he even had Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for the Sega Genesis too. I freaking loved that game as well, and I loved Michael Jackson since I was a kid. And since I was a kid, I always look forward to going to the arcades with my family, or usually go to the coin laundry, you know, like to go to the laundromats, and they have like these awesome arcade cabinets here, like where they have like Street Fighter 2, Marvel vs. Capcom, Mortal Kombat. They always have that, and they have like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga. I freaking love these games, especially first witnessing the SNK Neo Geo MVS, the multi-video system. As you can see here, there's the footage of Metal Slug 1. I was blown away and just mesmerized by the fact that that arcade cabinet has not one, not two, not three, but 4 video games that you could choose from. And I know this may sound a little bit strange to the young people, the young viewers on my channel here, but even though that we had consoles in our homes, we always wanted to go to a place where we just want to play video games. Again, whether it's in the coin laundromat, or it's in the corner store, or like when it's in a Chuck E. Cheese, or any other arcade, wherever, we just want to play video games here because we enjoy video games since childhood. Then we moved on to the 32-bit era at last here. I remember that my mom and my dad finally got me a Nintendo 64. At last, we move on to the 64-bit era, or the 32-bit era to be specific. My mom and dad got me the Nintendo 64, and it was so freaking awesome. Like, the controller just like, when I first saw it, it blew my mind. There was a D-pad on the left, the buttons on the right, and at the very middle there was a joystick, a D-pad joystick. It was so freaking cool. My cousin Francisco at the time, he bought himself a PlayStation. A freaking PlayStation. And when I first saw it, I was so freaking amazed on the fact that you could play video games with CDs. Freaking CDs. And the graphics, when I first witnessed it, I was like, wow, 3D graphics, that is so freaking cool. Now, believe it or not, me, my mom, my childhood friend Miguel, and my cousin, like, they all had one thing in common when it comes to, like, getting video games, is that whenever, like, we can't afford anything to get on a Toys R Us, we usually go to this very spot where it sells, like, video games here at my local flea market. Yeah, at a flea market where we get them on the cheap here. Specifically, the Opalaka Hialeah flea market somewhere down in Miami. I love that flea market at the time here. And there was a jingle where you could hear that blaring throughout the entire area. The Opalaka Hialeah. And it just like, I thought it was cute at first, but then in retrospect, it got me like, I hate that jingle. But nevertheless, I digress here. And I went to that flea market with my dad, and like there was like a whole massive load of awesome games here. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them that I haven't even seen before. And you can get them on the cheap. It just depends on what you get. Flea markets, you gotta love them. And then we move on to the 132-bit era, where it technically started. Sorry about that. It technically started with the Sega Dreamcast, and then with the Xbox, and with the PlayStation 2, and the Nintendo GameCube. I freaking loved them. Right exactly back in the 5th and 6th grade. And also, like, my mom, my dad, they also take me to Blockbusters where, like, hey, you want to go out and rent a game? It's basically like, wow, I can go out and I could rent any game for a short period of time. I was like, heck yeah! And I go and I explored all over the game sections, whatever it's in the PlayStation, the Nintendo 64, the Sega Dreamcast, hell, even the Sega Saturn games that you can rent. It's one of those times, like one of those awesome weekends where you finished all your homework and you go with your mom and your dad to go to the video store and you pick out a game, and that's your whole weekend. Like, that is your whole weekend. You got nothing else to do. Like, I couldn't even afford the new game, so whenever there's a new game come out, like, we just wait until we rent it and whatnot. And after those 6 days are out, like, you gotta return them, and it was like, oh, well, time to move on to the next game. And that's when, that's when it's fun. Like, after 6 days of playing that other game, and then you move on to that next game, and it was so freaking awesome. Like, so many games that I could explore on. Ah, those were the days. And I still enjoy video games to this day. Like, video games makes me happy. Video games makes everybody happy. It's one of the most enjoyable forms of entertainment, one of the most enjoyable forms of media that everybody would love. Heck, I'm sharing that love and joy of video gaming with my little sister. I always play video games with my little sister now and then, and she freaking loved it. She loves Mario, she loves Zelda, she likes Sonic, and one of her favorite all-time characters right now at the moment is Kirby. And we always play Super Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64 emulator, and she always beat me every time with Kirby, because every time that Kirby swallows one of the other characters' powers and use them as one of their own, she beats me every time. We still have fun regardless. It was so freaking awesome. And one of the things that I enjoy video games, that not only I enjoy them for fun, that I enjoy them to make me feel happy, It also made me feel like whenever I feel alone, I always play video games here with my cousins, with my little sister, or sometimes with my parents here. I still enjoy them to this day. And a lot of people say negative things about video games, like, oh, video games is all nerdy stuff. That's all for geeky stuff. Like, why the hell are you playing video games to this day? You're a grown-ass man. Well, I can tell you this here. One, video games is not just for kids. Teenagers, young adults, hell, even elder people, they still play video games to this day. And personally, I do not want to be with a girlfriend. I do not want to be with a woman that hates people playing video games. I mean, that's not the type of person that I want to be with in a relationship. I would have thrown her out in a heartbeat if she tried to break my video game console. Because think about it. I mean, I want to play video games with my girlfriend. I want to play video games with my family. It's safe, it's fun, it's enjoyable. Hey, it's better around than playing around with thoughts and fuck girls, that's for sure. And a lot of people said, oh, violent video games are making kids crazy. They're making them violent and disrespectful. Bullshit. We use violent video games to take out our frustrations. Hell, video games have done many great things. I still enjoy video games to this day, whether it's in the 8-bit era, the 16-bit era, the 32-bit era, the 64-bit era, the 132-bit era, the HD era to this day. There are some things that I don't appreciate are microtransactions and all of this stuff here that, you know, I said it in other videos before, but I just want to show you my love and appreciation of video games here. I'm just going to end this rambling here by saying, give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, and definitely subscribe. This is HDX signing out. Have a good one. And please, pass down the torch to our younger generations to come so they can love and appreciate video games.